What is it about Ajaokuta that makes it not to work no matter how much is spent on it? To understand why Ajaokuta is so important, you need to understand where Nigeria was in the 60s and the 70s. The civil war had just ended. Oil money was pouring in. Cities were expanding. Even cities that were destroyed during the war were now being rebuilt. Nigeria's economy and future pointed to one thing: we were going to be the giant of Africa. And to get there, we need steel. So in 1975, Nigeria signed a contract with the Soviets. 4 years later, the construction of what was going to be the crown jewel of African industrialization began. The location was almost perfect. 80% of the raw materials needed were within 60 kilometers radius of the site. Iron ore from Itakpe. Coal was close by. And River Niger was just there for water. Phase 1 of the project was supposed to produce 1.3 million tons of steel annually. The goal was to eventually scale that number to 5.2 million tons. Nigeria was going to build cars, ships, railway, industries, machineries, everything. The project was going to employ 10,000 engineers directly and then create 500,000 jobs across the country. They even went as far as building an entire town around it. There were houses, there were hospitals, there were schools. Ajaokuta was an entire ecosystem. But that was when Nigeria happened. The project had barely started when allegations of corruption, bribery, and things like that started flying everywhere. By 1983, construction stopped. The Buhari regime had come in and slashed funding. Eventually, IBB came and continued. The project continued starting and stopping until Abacha came into power. By 1996, construction had stopped entirely. Abacha cancelled the contract and sent the contractors home. By this time, the Soviet Union had already collapsed. 40 of the 43 major units had already been built, and the project was 98% complete. Fast forward to 1999. By this time, Nigeria had transitioned to democracy, and Obasanjo was the president. He decided to see if the private sector would do something different. Ajaokuta was handed over to an Indian company called Global Steel Holdings. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Ajaokuta was valued at $300 million. The company paid nothing upfront. The idea was that they would inject funds, revive it, and then buy it. They didn't do that. Instead, what they did was they stripped the plant of every major thing they could lay their hands on. When Yar'Adua came to power, he cancelled the project. They sued Nigeria for cancelling the contract. Do you know how much they asked for? $5.258 billion. Finally, in 2022, just 4 years ago, Nigeria settled. Do you know how much we paid for that mistake? $496 million. Right now, Ajaokuta exists, at least on paper. He has staff members. It has a budget. In 2024, the government allocated $4.45 billion to the plant. For decades, Nigeria has been paying thousands of people who work at a plant that produces nothing. Not one single ton of steel has been produced from that time till now. Meanwhile, Nigeria spent about $4 billion every year importing steel. Over $7 billion. 46 whole years. Not one ton of steel. That's Ajaokuta.